Today we'll be talking about Apple's budget iPhone that isn't quite budget. So we're talking about the iPhone 16e here, and does it actually deliver? Well, let's get into it. So this is Apple's iPhone 16e, which was released in February of 2025, and it starts at $599, and basically its role is Apple's budget phone. And take note, I said Apple's budget phone, and I said that just because this phone at basically $600 would actually be considered a mid-range phone for a lot of people. If you're actually considering getting this phone, of course you have to reduce your expectations, even though it's from Apple, but this to its price point, there had to be a lot of trade-offs. So without further ado, let's get into talking about the design, performance, camera, battery, and whether it's even worth buying in the end. Right, so starting with the design and display, this comes in a 6.1-inch form factor, and it's an OLED display, which is nice, and it also has a matte finish at the back, which is great. It has the notch, and if you must know, this is actually made with the iPhone 14 body. So basically it still has the old notch. It doesn't have a dynamic island on the newest models, and it has just one camera on the back. So it's a really clean design, and it still feels premium, and it has that boxy feel as well. So yeah, quickly let's jump into talking about the performance and features. So this is actually one area where Apple did not even cut a lot of things out. Basically this has Apple's A18 chip, which is basically a flagship chip, and it also comes with that C1 modem for better connectivity, and it also packs 8 GB of RAM and starts as 128 GB of storage. And having 8 GB of RAM was actually definitely an intentional choice by Apple, just so they could ship this phone with Apple Intelligence. But take note, Apple Intelligence is not really intelligent, if I'm being honest. It's just as dumb as Siri. Let's talk about the camera real quick. So this has again just one camera at the back, and that is a 48 megapixel camera, and at the front it has a regular 12 megapixel camera, just like you've seen with other iPhones. And the camera actually has a solid performance, if I'm being honest. I've used this camera myself a lot of times. It's great, and for a lot of people, you actually would not notice that this comes only with just one camera, and that's because this one camera actually functions as well as two cameras, a normal wide angle and a telephoto lens, because you can do 2x optical zoom in this case. However, if you're someone that likes to take those ultra wide shots, you definitely will be missing out on a lot in this case. Let's jump into talking about the battery life and charging. So this is also another area where you actually be impressed even with this price point, because this 6.1-inch phone, Apple's phone in this case, comes with 4,000 mAh battery, which is extremely large for an Apple device of this size, of this screen size. And coupled that coupled with the A18 chip means amazing all-day battery life. I promise you, you can go all day with this battery without having to even think about, do I have my charger with me? That's kind of the battery life you should expect with this phone, and it's great. Use it myself, and it's perfect. Right, so however, the battery doesn't charge as fast as you might expect it to, and Apple claims it can go from 0 to 50% in about 30 minutes, which is still great. In 2025 it's still good. Just 30 minutes of charge, you get 50%. That's still awesome. However, this phone does not have MagSafe, so you wouldn't be able to use a MagSafe wireless charger well with this device, or you have to make sure it's properly aligned to actually make sure it's charging. The wireless charging is slow, and it's not the fastest out there, just so you know. However, it still comes with that USB Type-C port, by the way, which is always good to have. So let's talk about the pros and cons, from my perspective. So let's start with the pros, right? So again, this is an affordable entry into the iPhone 16e family, and not just the iPhone 16 lineup, but also the Apple ecosystem, right? You get all the good stuff that comes in with the Apple ecosystem, AirDrop, connectivity with all devices, being able to share things, having iMessage, all that, right? I'm sure you know the gist. And again, this is powered by a flagship chipset, which is the A18 chip, which gives you that flagship performance level. And it also has an OLED display, which is awesome, much more better contrast than LCD panels, and it also has like much deeper blacks as well. So like that is definitely a good thing to have with this price point. And again, talking about that battery life, it has an amazing battery life. In my opinion, it's perfect. So yeah, I mean, enough said about the pros, right? Now let's go to the cons, which are of course like mostly a lot of things here are like trade-offs like Apple had to make to bring you this device at this price point. And first, let's even talk about that price itself. Like $599, it's Apple's budget phone, but like, is it really budget? Not exactly. And two, has just one camera. Like it's a single camera lens. And again, if you're actually someone that needs that ultra wide lens, like you definitely feel it with this device. Three, no MagSafe. And four, slower charging. That's just what you have to deal with. And five, you get like slower 5G connection as well. So like with this device, there's no millimeter wave, which is definitely a bummer in my opinion, because I definitely noticed like the network is not as good as it should be, like the 5G connectivity and download speeds, things like that. So six, it's only a 60 hertz display, but of course, like if you're already into the Apple ecosystem and you know how Apple does their things, you probably were not expecting a 120 hertz display with this phone itself, because like even the base $800 iPhone just got like 120 hertz with the iPhone 17 series, right? And well, I think 7, like this phone only comes in black. And 8, there's no ultra wide band chip, so like you wouldn't be able to use it for those like precision finding for like your Apple tags or like your AirPods and things like that. So yeah, I mean, if all these like cons or trade-offs are not really like a thing for you, then this phone is definitely a great investment, or a great buy in my opinion. And yeah, we've basically made it to the end of this video. And if you actually like or enjoy watching content like this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe as well. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you always get like an update whenever I post a new video. And thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.